On Sunday mornings, Father Michael stood at the pulpit. His voice was calm, steady, the kind of voice that made people trust him. He spoke of faith, of sacrifice, of the importance of giving. The parishioners nodded, dropped envelopes into the collection basket, and never doubted a word. What they didn't know was that the man guiding their souls was also draining their wallets. And he did it for years, without anyone noticing. It began quietly. The parish was large, one of the biggest in the diocese. Hundreds of families attended every week. The collection plates were always full. Tens of thousands of dollars passed through the church each month. And Father Michael was the one who handled the books. The parish accountant trusted him. The bishop trusted him. Everyone did. After all, who would suspect a priest? The first theft was small. A few $100s, taken from a special donation fund. Money earmarked for fixing the church roof. He told himself it was just a loan. He'd pay it back. But he never did. And once he crossed that line, it was easier the next time. By the following year, he wasn't just skimming cash. He was writing checks, falsifying records, creating entire fake projects, charity drives, repairs, community programs, all on paper. The parishioners gave generously, but the money didn't go to the poor. It went straight into his accounts, and no one questioned it, because Father Michael always had an explanation, always had paperwork to back it up, always wore the same modest robes, drove the same old sedan, and lived in the rectory. To the outside world, he looked like a man of God. Inside, he was running one of the largest embezzlement schemes in church history. By 2015, the amount stolen had crossed $1 million. But Father Michael's spending was careful. No flashy cars, no sudden mansions, just quiet indulgences. Vacations overseas, booked under fake names. A small apartment outside the city, paid for in cash. Designer clothes hidden away, never worn in public. He lived two lives, the humble priest and the secret millionaire. The diocese did annual audits, but Father Michael was always prepared. When auditors came, he handed over tidy binders, dozens of receipts, all forged, bank statements that looked perfectly balanced, invoices from contractors that didn't exist, and the numbers always matched. Every time the bishop signed off, praising him for keeping the parish so well managed. The trick wasn't just in the paperwork. It was in the trust. Parishioners volunteered to help with small tasks, but Father Michael always kept control of the money. He claimed it was a heavy burden, that managing the church's finances was a cross he bore so others didn't have to. They thanked him for his dedication. They never suspected the truth. By 2017, the total had grown to $3 million. Enough to raise questions if anyone had looked closely. But no one did, because the church still functioned. The lights stayed on. The roof got patched. The poor were fed, just not with the money he stole. Instead, he shifted smaller amounts from legitimate donations to cover what was missing. A shell game, moved around carefully. On the surface, nothing looked wrong. And then came his boldest move. A capital campaign, $10 million to build a new community center. Parishioners gave more than they ever had before. Fundraisers, bake sales, silent auctions. The checks poured in, but the center was never built. The land was never purchased. Instead, the money disappeared. By the time the diocese realized the project was stalling, nearly $4 million had already been siphoned away. Still, suspicion never fell on him. When parishioners asked about the delays, Father Michael had answers. Permits, construction disputes, rising costs. He spoke with such confidence, no one doubted him. And so the theft continued. The unraveling came not from the parish, but from the bank. In 2019, an employee noticed something strange. Large checks deposited regularly into multiple personal accounts, all tied to the same name. At first, they assumed it was a mistake, but the amounts kept growing. Eventually, the bank filed a suspicious activity report, and that's when federal investigators got involved. They began quietly, pulling records, tracing transfers, reconstructing accounts. And the picture that emerged was staggering. Over 10 years, Father Michael had embezzled more than $5 million. Every donation drive, every special collection, every capital campaign. He had skimmed from all of them. The FBI called it systematic, deliberate, and professional. It was the kind of fraud you'd expect from a Wall Street banker, not a parish priest. When agents finally confronted him, Father Michael didn't deny it. He simply bowed his head and said, "I sinned." But the question wasn't just how much he had stolen. It was how he had gotten away with it for so long. The answer was simple: because no one thought to look. The arrest shocked the parish. For years, Father Michael had been their shepherd, the man who baptized their children, married their families, buried their dead. Now he was being led away in handcuffs. The headlines spread fast. Priest accused of embezzling millions. Parishioners couldn't believe it. Some defended him, insisting there had to be a mistake. Others felt betrayed. How could the man who preached sacrifice have secretly stolen everything they gave? Investigators revealed the scale of the fraud. More than $5.3 million stolen. Spent on travel, fine dining, luxury goods, and secret investments. One prosecutor described it simply. He treated the church like his personal bank account. The diocese launched its own review. And what they found was embarrassing. For over a decade, they had signed off on fake audits, approved false reports, and never once questioned why projects never materialized. It wasn't just theft. It was negligence. The fallout was brutal. Parishioners stopped donating. Attendance dropped. The community, once vibrant, fractured with mistrust. Even volunteers who had nothing to do with the money faced suspicion. Every envelope, every fundraiser, every offering basket was now seen with doubt. The damage wasn't just financial. It was spiritual. In court, Father Michael looked nothing like the confident priest at the pulpit. He sat quietly, head down, barely speaking. The prosecution laid out the case with cold precision. Bank records, forged documents, testimony from parish staff. Every detail showed how deliberate it had been. This wasn't a moment of weakness. It wasn't a one-time lapse. It was 10 years of calculated theft. The defense argued he had personal struggles. That loneliness and stress drove him to it, that he intended to pay it back. But the numbers told another story. Millions taken, none returned. When the verdict came, it was swift. Guilty. Sentenced to 7 years in federal prison. The judge didn't hold back. "You betrayed not only your parishioners' trust," he said. "You betrayed the faith you claimed to serve." Even after the sentencing, the money was never fully recovered. Luxury purchases were seized. Accounts were frozen, but much of it was gone. Hidden. Spent. Lost forever. The parish never got it back. Years later, some parishioners still struggle to speak about him. For them, it wasn't just about the money. It was about trust. They gave everything to the church. And the one person they believed would never betray them did exactly that. In prison, Father Michael kept mostly to himself. He worked in the chapel, led small prayer groups, read scripture daily. Some inmates called him Father. Others called him a fraud. When asked in an interview if he regretted what he had done, his response was chilling. "I regret getting caught," he said, "but I don't regret surviving." Today, the parish has rebuilt. Slowly, carefully. New safeguards are in place. No single person controls the money. Every donation is accounted for. But the memory lingers. Because trust, once broken, is hard to repair. And somewhere in the prison system, one man carries the name that will never be forgotten. The priest who embezzled millions, and got away with it for over a decade. The man who proved that sometimes the most dangerous thieves wear the robes of the trusted.